Welcome to Debt to Cinema. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Steven Malmanex.
Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching the latest releases. However, it can sadly put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we miss, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
Hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the other's opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time.
Who gave Riley the permission to have the hots for Clapton?
What does the future hold for Clapton Davis?
If you're gonna get your limbs ripped off by the school gorilla, find a more worthy charity than Ione.
Thank God that's not me.
Ione is an old soul trapped in a very painfully hot cheerleader body.
Clapton Davis, you are more concept than reality.
Your classmate, Taylor Fisher, was murdered in her bedroom this morning.
I was just attacked. Sure you were, honey.
Are you guys accusing me of something?
There's a killer in Grizzly Lake who is affiliated with people at my school. Detention is in the library. It goes from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's right through prom.
It can't be any of us. We're not anguished enough. Our generation has had no major struggles.
What about 9/11?
Afghanistan.
Katrina?
Heath Ledger. What? Too soon.
This is one of those fun weeks where there is no holiday, nothing's going on, and I just finally wanted to watch something I've never seen.
You sure? Because I could have sworn this was a Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, that kind of works, but no, yeah, even though this is a Sony picture, no, this was no tie-in. A couple of weeks back, I had some cash back on my Discover credit card for Amazon currency, and I went, hell, I need this, I need that, I need this, and one of the things I threw on there just for funsies was Detention, because, hey, I follow Joseph Kahn on Twitter, he's hilarious, he always retweets people when they talk about this movie, so the chances of him retweeting our review are really high, but just
you
given...
might have just blown it now if he's listening to this, and he'll just be like, fuck those guys.
Nah, trust me, we're gonna get it anyway.
No, I mean, he's a good internet personality. I mean, like,
I
heard interviews with him first, I think, on the Slash Filmcast, and he had some really insightful stuff. Just his big thing was the reaction to there was this video from this film critic on how the Dark Knight tunnel sequence was incoherent, and just his reaction to that, the blog he posted, and the interview just itself, still worth a listen to. Just really entertaining, funny guy, very opinionated, but very insightful.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that, but just...
Also, Torque is still a good movie. I rented it after watching this.
Did you?
Yeah, I watched it today. Still a lot of fun.
I'll have to check it out one of these days.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it since its initial, cable premiere. But talking about Torque, it's one of the first things mentioned in this film. It's like one of the opening lines of dialogue.
That's one of the things where I'm just kind of like, you know what? You do a lot here, but sometimes you're just not trying too hard, but it's just like, you didn't need that. But... if you felt like you had to,
no,
okay.
He pokes fun at himself throughout the film.
I
You
know,
have the
but it's
opening
just
line
like,
about Torque.
It's like
it
didn't feel like an organic reference. It's like, oh, he's going to ask her out to prom. That makes about as much sense as fucking Torque. It's like, well,
I think it's
is
just
that
to
how you
make
had to
the
plug it
critics
in?
laugh who saw that and then saw this, or just anyone that's aware of the snafu that is Fast and Furious and motorbikes. Or actually, that's Biker Boys.
Yeah, no, Torque is not like a straight movie. Torque is a insane exaggeration to those. I mean, seriously,
And
really
so
watching
is this,
that, it's
though.
like, it's actually very carefully crafted. Like, it's very fast and very hyper, but every shot syncs up so well that it's like, no, there's clearly a ton of storyboards. Like, same thing here. Just very, very, very fast, very MTV light, but very, very tightly constructed that each shot follows onto the next seamlessly. There's a lot of effects in there. It's overloaded, but it's not thoughtless.
Yeah, this film is the epitome of the ADD generation. Like, this is as many moments and genres mashed up in as many ways as possible at quick pace. Yeah, time travel, there's a slasher movie, it's a teen movie, it's a 90s movie.
There's a body swap comedy in there.
Yeah,
like
there's
Friday. Yeah,
there's so much. And it really has the pace of the millennial generation. Like, I knew when we reviewed Yoga Hosers that you're mentioning, it kind of reminded me of Detention, like, and we had a conversation
I
then.
Yoga Hosers was the thing, but yeah, this is better than that.
Oh, way better.
Yeah.
But it was very clear that Kevin Smith was probably inspired by this one, or is any a number of other films too. Just the way it opens with like that Taylor character, the almost Scream-esque kill that happens immediately, where you have this over-the-top personality, really attractive. She's a bitch. What is it? It's like, who cares what it is? And the H is Hoobastank, and I laughed really hard. And then from that laugh to the last, it was
if
a
you
laugh
laugh
riot.
at that joke, I think then
The film's for
you
you.
might dig it. Yeah, but I mean, I just loved how over the top she was. Just the fucking ecstasy baby line and the fucking duck line, those are the ones that got to me. And then just how she turns around is just like smiling like it's okay. I fall for shit like that.
I'm
it's
happy.
over the top, but it's funny.
I watched this one with Ashley. It was a date movie, and
Please tell me it played well.
Oh, it definitely did.
Good.
It was, she asked towards the end of the film, she's like, what happened to the slasher, like, subplot? And I went, oh, no, that's that guy, trust me, it's going to come back. And then sure enough, like 5 minutes later, it's how the film, like, its big end moment before it has the happily ever after, which it doesn't really even do. Like, it's set up for a sequel that we're never going to get, which is kind of sad. But I went on IMDb right when we started recording just to see like if there's any trivia on this. There's one factoid, and that is that this is the female star's first big movie, which is
I think
weird.
most of these kids, aside from Josh Hutcherson,
Yeah, not Josh Hutcherson.
he who was an executive producer on this, and still fairly young at the time. I don't know.
He's still young now.
He may have still been a minor then, though. I'm not sure.
He might have been like 2019.
Yeah, all the other ones, though, I don't know. Maybe they did some TV stuff, but they didn't really grow into big features. Like, this is not a studio movie. This
was their break if they got it. And I think that this is, of anything that I've seen of this decade, because this is 2011, has the most potential to become a cult film. Like, this just screams.
Well, even at the time, it was like that. When I saw this... I didn't see it theatrically. I think it had a VOD release in 2012. It was around then, like it was right before I went to Long Beach. But I think it plays much better now. Honestly, like this is much. It felt like an almost borderline exaggeration back then, but no, now this is like truer to millennials now.
Yeah,
and this is like 5 years later. It's scary how spot on it is.
Even if smartphones and smart devices are used very sparingly, if at all. It is filmed at a speed, a tempo that mirrors how our lives work. Even if we're not in high school, I mean, we're 10 years removed from what that's like. But even still, like this kind of feels like it could have been filmed using Snapchat type idea, where it almost like, and this budget
isn't like
too. This
a
is
mile
like,
a minute thing either. This is like 100 miles a minute.
Oh
like
yeah, this is
you have
one
to
of the fastest
frame
movies.
A lot of stuff to catch it. Yeah,
one of the fastest movies I've ever seen, especially just the opening credits, which are really inventive and really smart. It starts with like Josh Hutcherson like skateboarding through the hallway, and his Chuck Taylor's instead say his name.
It's just like I don't know if it's all visual effects or if some of
it's half and
practical.
half.
Some of it I don't know. They could have added a digital border in there maybe, but like all of it. I don't know. I want to say like the Coke cans and stuff like that. Like there is some digital work in there for the titles, especially.
But
when
then you also get the mural though, where it says production design.
Yeah, like it's very carefully put together. Like there's a lot of shots that echo each other later on in the film when they get back to the 90s, when that time travel element comes in there. That I did notice that there's some of the same exact shots just in a different time period. So there's way too much thought put into this at way too fast a pace that we no doubt missed a lot of stuff.
I don't think I missed that much. I mean, given
on a first viewing, no. Like, come on, this is insanely rewatchable. That like, I'm sure there's stuff that
the Blu-ray has a real cool feature where you can watch it and the cast and crew jumps like inside the screen and
like
point out
picture commentary.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I'm looking forward to watching in the future with that, because there isn't a straightforward director commentary that does not exist. I'm sure you don't really need it. If you have any questions, just in the same way that I'm sure if I have any, you can tweet at Joseph Kahn. He'll be so happy that you saw it that he'll probably talk to you about it. And it's funny because Shanley Caswell, the star of this film, is actually in this thing called Swiped, which Joseph Kahn also just directed. It's this little short that I know I retweeted on my personal Twitter, maybe also did on the Dollar Reviews one, and if not, I'll amend that this week, coinciding with the release of that episode. I mean, the episode we're not done talking about, but I'm gonna buy this one for $1. It's one of those really, really weird, just perfect timing. Like it references, I mean, also films that are cult classics, but films that we have reviewed on this show. The Fly, in particular, either the original or the remake.
Unmistakable.
Yeah. sorta, but
well, it's funny how like I think that this is mainly described as a high school horror film, and those
but
are
it's not.
But as far as just high school movies, those are the different types of horror subgenres that it plays with most. You know, there is body horror in there. There's the slasher, obviously. There's also torture porn, which
you know,
really this
good.
Is like right at the end of that. That was still kind of a big thing.
The Saw movies were still going.
Yeah,
big.
well, but they like just finished up at that point.
They didn't finish. They're coming back this year.
Yeah.
Saw Retribution, Saw Legacy, or that. I know they changed the title. I don't even care what it is. That's why I'm happy we don't do 2 cents anymore.
James Wan is doing better things now. So
yeah, Aquaman.
Who cares?
So yeah, they do The Fly, but Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan, like that's a big joke in this movie too. Like they're talking about like the earworms, and I caught that reference. And if I had watched this, you know, like 4 months ago or whatever before we did Star Trek, I would have been completely at a loss.
They do that, and they also make Next Generation references.
Yeah. Well,
so it's like
I'm familiar with the
as
TNG,
much
but
stuff as can be crammed into it as they can.
Like I'm sure, like you said, like I have to rewatch it to catch all the references. But just if you look at this strictly as a time travel movie, which it is like barely, still really smart the way it sets up these time gags and time loops,
like,
and
just the lines specifically about Ione, like, you know, one
Yeah.
that justifies why Josh Hutcherson is attracted to her. He describes her as like, oh, she's an old soul in a cheerleader body. And
Totally
you
is.
understand exactly what that means later when that pays
also,
off.
just
then there's the photo. There's
everything
a ton of stuff.
at first seems like this. It's trying so hard to be the '90s.
It's like it fits in a certain way, and then you understand the context, and it plays both ways.
But the
there's
way
still
that
so much more to dig into it.
He dresses and what he's interested in. The fact that he basically wants to be Ryan Schreiber, you know, the creator of Pitchfork Media, which coincidentally is kind of the inspiration for the website. Even still. It's like he's living this dream, and he finds himself with this girlfriend who literally knows too much about the 90s that I couldn't keep up. You know?
I think the volcano reference was my favorite.
Right? Like, where the fuck did that come from? Like, it was...
I mean, the whole thing was so hyper-real that there's a certain point where it's just like... you know, it throws so much at you that you just go with it and you accept it at whatever it's going to throw at you. Because, I mean... Yeah, this movie's not dumb. It's just
it's too smart, I think is what it is. Like
well, it's like it's doing so much. Like it is overstuffed, not in a bad way. It's just
like this.
It's playing with so many genres and just trying to cram everything in. Like, and it's very ADD. It's very like it's not focused on one thing. It's just juggling a ton of different stuff, and it doesn't have a problem with that.
I think that's the beauty of it, though.
Yeah, like if for a script like that, you have to really tightly construct that.
Not even a script. I mean, there's also a line. You know, we referenced the Torque thing, but there's something like they're talking about the what the fuck is it called? Not Halloween. What's the film franchise? Scream Hella. What is it? Cinderella.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're talking about Cinderella 3, and they're like, "Oh, you're just seeing this because you want to like promote some music video director's fantasies of making it big, making films or some shit." Like, he's like, "Holy shit, yeah, this is Joseph Kahn. That is what he is primarily even still known for." Like,
almost every
if you've seen a Taylor Swift thing, if you've seen like Korn, like I think he's even directed like lots of rap too. Like he's done he's directed
done a
Britney
lot of Britney Spears stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like he directed the Toxic music video, you know, like one of the best music videos of all time.
I think he did a Wu-Tang Clan video, yeah.
I would assume, because you have that
way
really...
back. Like, he's been around for a long time.
You have this amazing shot when it goes on full Breakfast Club mode, when they're... Because you have, like, these vignettes. Like, you have the overarching story, but then you have the vignettes where it's, like, the weird story of Felix whatever, or the sad life of so-and-so. Mm-hmm. And when you get the one for the Mexican dude who's been in detention for 13 years... no, more than that. It was 2011, 19 years.
Yeah.
And it like does that round robin, which is also used in the Breakfast Club, except in that one they're having a very serious conversation.
By the way, that's the most expensive scene in the movie.
Oh, for sure.
That whole shot, yeah.
Just the music rights.
That's why.
Yeah, the rights for that.
The crazy thing about this movie, $10 million, you know who paid for it?
Joseph Kahn.
Just him, yeah.
Yeah, no,
I mean, that's passion.
He's
right
doing
there.
the same thing again right now. He has a movie called Bodied, which is already in editing. It's probably doing test screenings currently. Did the same exact thing. He took all of his money.
Movies if he puts his own money in there? Is he really going to test it?
Maybe not test, but like showing them to friends to get their opinion. Like he's editing it. It's in the final process. Like it's probably going to be at Slam Dance or something this next season, or maybe even Sundance. Who knows?
Or South by
maybe,
Southwest. That's where this premiered.
It's anyone's guess where that one's going to be. Maybe it's TIFF. Maybe Cronenberg says, "Oh, I really liked that Detention movie." But yeah, that round robin, that it's not a continuous shot, but it appears to be. But the way that it segues between just a couple of years at a time, like usually 3 or 4, or then like 5. Where it goes from 2011 to 2008, and just by the music choices and the clothes, it seems completely different. They're wearing the Ed Hardy hats, and then it goes to 2005, and they're like dressed up emo, and then it goes to 2003, and you're like, okay, everyone's in Eminem now, and then it goes to 2001, and fucking now it's Backstreet Boys. So like 97, I think it becomes, I forget what it was in 97. And then it gets to the mid-90s, and it's like garbage, and then it goes to early 90s, and that's where we are. And it's just like such a naturalistic way to frame how weird this guy is, how high school has changed through the eras, despite being the exact same thing, the same experience for teenagers, and just like this quick snapshot, because they're wearing Backstreet Boys clothes and the Britney Spears outfit, and these are eras of music that Joseph Kahn lived through, that he helped create, that he frames what we imagine that era is, and he's doing just a little or a big tongue-in-cheek moment where we get to kind of laugh at that. Because this film has a fucking piece of dialogue that goes, "Mullets always beat ponytails," and as a proud member of the Mullet Club, I got a laugh out of it. My girlfriend got a laugh out of it.
But just I have seen film, Under Siege, and a throat rip sounds more awesome than anything. Under Siege.
This film kind of ruins Roadhouse, okay? Because the movie is not that good.
You're the only one that says that, though.
It's an okay movie, but because here's the premise, and I'm sure you'll probably see the remake before you see the original if that Ronda Rousey film's still coming out. The premise basically is, here's this badass biker bar on the side of the road where you can play your live music, and you need a real good bouncer to keep everyone in check, and that's Patrick Swayze. And the whole film, you don't really see him do anything. He's just like, oh, he's the badass, don't fuck with him because he'll kill you type of thing. But he's Patrick Swayze, he looks sexy and suave, and he's just like, he has perfect teeth, and you're like, oh man, this guy's never been in a fight in his whole life. And then the film like really gets weird in the final 40 minutes, and he literally pulls someone's throat out. That happens. He does a throat rip.
I have to see that.
Yeah, like the film was worth watching for that moment, but I didn't know about that scene going in. So when I saw the movie, I was like, yeah, this is kind of boring. This is not, it came out like the same era as like Karate Kid. It's like this doesn't do anything for me.
Suddenly you're just like, holy shit.
Like actually go on Letterboxd, look at my review for Roadhouse. I think like it's a spoiler review, and it says something like, this movie can't be any worse, and then like I end the sentence and it starts go, and then he fucking rips a throat out, because that is that kind of movie. Like, I hope Ronda Rousey does the same thing. It'd be awesome if they got like a likeness of Patrick Swayze, and he's the one whose throat got ripped out, but maybe that's not cancer friendly.
That's not gonna happen.
Of course, it's not gonna happen. But a boy can dream. Like I said, I'd buy this one for $1. I bought it for I think $8. Like it's still a real cheap Blu-ray. It looks really good. It has good menus. Great music for the money that was behind
I really
this film.
like the Bop
cover
riff that they have at the opening for just that credit sequence alone.
Yeah. Well, even especially to the just the movie within, like, it does the Scream 4 thing, and it's funny because this came out before Scream 4, where it does the movie within a movie within a movie shtick, but here it's naturalistic. It's like, let's pirate this film. Let's, especially because this film starts with a very long piracy is not a victimless crime, please don't pirate type thing. And then when you get to that section and they're like, let's see an early test print. Oh yeah, the torrent guy says it has like a good review.
Teenagers torrent now. It's just what they do.
But the way that one goes, where they're watching the Cinderella 3 and then they pop in a movie and they're watching that movie, and then within that movie, they put in like a porno parody that stars Ron Jeremy. Yeah, and it's so fucking over the top, like in the best way. And when they come back to the real movie, oh, the Canadian guy's dead. When that happened, oops. Like and that's kind of like the epitome of the movie. Like there's so much going on in just one frame that you can kind of get sidelined by the story at hand. Like there's a football scene that happens in this. There's a teen party. There's some boobs, real good boobs at that. No real sex, just like in flashbacks. It's kind of interesting for a teen movie, especially a slasher. But coming off of I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that's a Kevin Williamson script, and he's known primarily, especially with the Scream movies, The Faculty, and especially Dawson's Creek, for writing teenagers that are smarter than they should be. And to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, where it's like they're stupider than they should be, and to go to this where, like, someone literally says in the final 20 minutes of this movie, it's called, open a fucking book, it's called post-irony. It's almost too smart for its time, and I think that's why 7 or 6 years ago that people didn't know what to make of it.
I'm not so sure about too smart. I mean, it's
We're
very
not smart,
polarizing,
but it's still a polarizing film.
I mean,
but it was
it's like,
ahead of the curve.
I don't necessarily see these as like real teenagers. You know,
they're not.
Definitely
like
movie teens to me.
They're Dawson's Creek teenagers.
But I mean, you know, it's funny, like just as far as like the idea of the high school movie, because like this is pegged as a horror film. I rented this in the horror section, even though it's not that. But I mean, it's
a millennial movie.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, no, it definitely is. Like
it's its own genre.
It is interesting because it's definitely not a classical high school movie in the sense of
it's not John
I don't know,
Hughes,
like, you know, it's not a hangout movie. It's not exactly a romance. You know, there's nothing.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like it is a hangout. There is a romance. There is detention. There is a killer on the loose. There's time travel. There's science. There's like
interesting, though.
Weird
like,
little the fact that this is
that's what I'm saying, though. It's just like
93
as far as the high school
minutes.
movie, like, you know, this is going against what the norms are for that. You know, it's not. It's not the sex comedy either, you know, but like there's definitely elements in there that it crams it, but it's still, even if you want to peg this as like some kind of horror high school flick, it still stands apart from everything else that's ever been done. Like this is literally a one of a kind high school movie. There's nothing else like this. It's not just as far as style, but it's just it's really just the story itself. Like it crams in so much that.
It's millennial horror. It's really its own coming of age thing. Like if you're not coming of age in this era, you are going to be far too removed from how just real it seems, despite being hyper real. Like this is.
It's funny is that like this is 5 years ago that this came out.
More than that. 7.
Not before it premiered 6 years ago, but
yeah.
I mean, you know, these are kids obsessed with the 90s, and for a while we've just been in this whole like fucking 80s nostalgia. Yeah, and it's just I'm wondering though, like
this film
if this is really happening in cycles.
No, it
because
is.
I know when I was in high school, like there was this obsession with just 70s and classic rock.
The 90s are coming back right now in a big bad way. Like the main girl here, she's wearing overall shorts. I own 2 pairs of those. My girlfriend owns like 2 pairs of those. I've seen them in public. They are a thing. Scrunchies are coming back. When we were watching I Know What You Did Last Summer, she was like talking about one of Sarah Michelle Gellar's outfits, and she's like, that whole outfit is in now. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like one of my good friends, a friend of the show, Tal, she sells clothes on the internet. Most of her best sellers are 90s chic. Like literally, like the brand chic. Like there's just... It's like what's
see that seems to all go against the final point of this movie because
the hot topic is usually 20 years past where we are currently. Mm-hmm. It takes it's usually 20 years delayed.
90s now.
Like the 90s. Like, I guarantee kids in high school now, it's the 90s.
Well, they're gonna. I mean, this movie is gonna make just this
if
next
this
generation
is
gonna make me hate the 90s now, but. You know, yeah, I mean, just that final point, like, really did resonate with me here. Like, the only way to change the past is to change the present, you know, which, just,
which
I mean, yeah, like, as far as a satire,
too.
like, of just, this generation of people and just kind of giving them the finger in a way, like, that definitely worked for me, of just, like, yeah, quit being so fucking self-absorbed and just live in the now, stop, you know, especially, like, when you get to, there's so many different things to jump around, but I mean, yeah, I could not help but divorce the idea of like because I think we're late enough that we can spoil it now, but the main killer which right off the bat I thought was pretty fucking obvious. Fucking Sander, who just is only doing it just to get laid. Yeah, and I mean, to me, like, this is post Elliot Rodgers in Santa Barbara. That's something that I'm not going to forget. That I'm always going to remember.
Not
just
the film itself, though. The film was pre that.
No, but I mean that's always gonna remind me of that. And those motivations are similar to what that dude did in real life. That
goes for most mass murderers. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's so many things that this captures here, but it's like, I mean, it's that sense of self entitlement and just trying to live in the past that. It just seems like,
but
I mean,
even still,
at least as far as social media, that's the sense I get because I don't know any actual high schoolers anymore. Like my opinions of them are always broad generalizations now because I'm not ever exposed to them in any way. But it's that's kind of what it seems like. Like I really love just the final thesis of this, and specifically that one line of, the only way to change the past is to change the present. Just don't be fucking so stuck in trying to like have your way or just going back to another way you idealize and find perfect. It's
like the same thesis as Midnight in Paris. Don't
absolutely.
clamor for a golden age of the past. Try to make your own.
It's a message that's repeated time and time again, but for something like this that is so stuffed and so overloaded that it can all be encapsulated at that final point, it works.
I don't know what you're talking about. The final point of this movie is vegetarians are no better than us. There are people out there from a planet of all plants, and they're gonna kill us for eating their plant babies. So
this movie also taught me that Canadians can be mean and very nice at the same time.
No, Canadians are very mean. I've had, trust me, that I think they probably hate that idea that Canadians.
I've been to Montreal. If I speak English, then they'll be like, "Fuck you."
No, I would love eventually to see this one in theaters. I think that this is the perfect theater film. Like there's so many quotables, there's so many fun little things that happen. There's dance moments, there's a prom, there's cool kills, like I said, there's fucking Ron Jeremy, like that. It uses Wolf Like Me by TV on the Radio as the closing credit song, and that's like one of my favorite songs of the mid 2000s. I said it twice already. I'll say it again. I gotta buy this one for $1. I bought it for $7. If you have not seen this film, hunt it down. Go to a video store and rent it. That's the best thing to do. Secondary to that, pay for the film, and then if you're really, really cheap, pirate it because, hey, I'm sure Joseph Kahn doesn't give a shit as long as you watch it and you tweet at him and say, I watched your movie, it was a piece of shit, or I watched your movie and it sucked, or hey, I just watched your movie at all. I think that's all he cares about.
Man, you're just, I mean, if I don't say I'm going to buy this for $1, you're just going to be mad because you're really pushing it at this point.
I don't care if you don't like this one. It's just...
No. It's okay. It's a silver dollar. It is funny. It's really fast. Fuck yeah, it's rewatchable. It's very unique and it's loaded and it's really, really fucking well woven. Like I said it at the beginning. Like there's so much woven into this that we can't talk about because I'm sure we missed it. And it's a weird thing to talk about because like I mean this conversation just. It's bound to get messy,
This
but
conversation is going like the film is going.
Yeah, I mean, but see, I'm not the mega fan that would devour this or want to really dig into every single detail of this. Like, fuck yeah, there are people out there like they will love this. Hell yeah. I mean, for me though, it sits on silver dollar, and I had fun watching it. I'd seen it before, and I did not really expect that I would see it again, but I'm glad I did. I might just watch it again in the future if I feel like streaming something and I see that's on there. But for me
Netflix,
personally, it's not one of the ones that I'm just gonna watch over and over again. But it is for somebody.
I'm not gonna watch it over and over either. But if I was, 16 right now, and this was on HBO, I would totally watch it over and over.
Especially
again.
20 years from now when people are nostalgic for 2011.
For 2011, yeah. And then also, by that virtue, nostalgic for the 90s. But as someone who champions the teen film, who loves 90s culture and especially the 80s, and lived through the generation that they're basically mocking in this film, I feel like it's a perfect fit for me. I do like these kind of slasher films. I like time travel movies. I like all of these things, and I don't have a problem that it tries to do it all at once, because it might not be a perfect film, but hey, it's better than most, and it does a great job of
it's
balancing
upfront
it.
about what it is right away. That's just like, you know,
when
you're
you
gonna
have these
accept it or you're
titles,
not.
when you have text on the screen that the characters are interacting with, when you go from the main cheerleader who just got slaughtered and dumped on her mom's car, jumping to this girl who thinks that she's on her period when she reaches down to her pants while talking about trying to kill herself, and then you'll find out she's a slob, and that's just ketchup that she left on her french fries.
The hipster thief thing was weird.
The whole hipster angle was weird, almost as weird as, you know, the character name Toshiba.
It's like, no, there are quite a few
guy.
things in here that I could pick apart and say, you know what, that didn't work, but there's something happening later that is. I mean, it's like the Torque reference. Like, you know, I have to stop and just kind of groan at that and just be like, really, Joseph Kahn? All right.
When you have
it's not
Final
like it's
Cut,
a stain, you know, like if it gets wiped away quickly and then something else engages me with it. So for every millisecond that it loses me, it picks it right back up for me.
For something that is made with Final Cut in mind, that this is 100% a filmmaker's baby, that everything that's on screen he intended to do, there was no studio telling him otherwise, no focus groups, no nothing. And even when you have Josh Hutcherson basically playing the coolest character he'll ever be, because he paid basically to be that character. Like, I have no clue how him and Joseph Kahn even met. It had to be by chance, or maybe he sent him the script. Who knows what the situation is.
I mean, this is pre-Hunger Games too, so Josh Hutcherson fairly well known. Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Hunger Games is 2012.
Is it 2012?
Yeah.
Well, he was already in the Journey
movies. Right before that.
He was in the first Journey movie,
yeah.
And he was in maybe one or
Kids
two
Are
other
Alright.
things. Was that? Oh, yeah, it's 2011.
2010.
Was that 2010? So, yeah, that came out like this year. Like, he was still a rising star. And so maybe he was just looking for something weird to get his name on the map, and I think this is the thing now. Like, I don't know if he's
not just
anything
Joseph
else.
Kahn is in the industry, you know, he is known. Like,
oh, he's a big,
you know,
name.
I mean, like, I watched
not
Torque
in
today.
filmic.
Dane Cook is in that. Like, I was wondering, like, it's interesting that he's in Detention, but it's like, you know what, they got to be friends or something, because Dane Cook has a cameo in Torque. Yeah, he has a cameo.
Now I want to rewatch Torque. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure.
If you enjoyed this episode, you can listen to more by checking out the Dollar Review Show, where we cover theatrical and streaming releases, as well as give our 2 cents on anything we sought out on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
And we're also on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just about anywhere on the internet, with hours of content available to you for free. But for those of you that feel that the show is worth your dollar, you can send us a donation at patreon.com/dollarreviews. Contributions not only earn our undying love, but they also make it possible for us to improve our recording equipment and to give you the highest quality episodes possible. But more importantly, they'd be helping us acquire the content to review. You know, trips to the multiplex are expensive, and the more donations we receive, the more films we can review for your listening pleasure.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, and you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too. And also under the same name on the Loveview site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.